How did Frieza come back from the dead? Every time, no one doubts that Frieza is the greatest villain in the entire Dragon Ball saga, whether we're talking about the original or Dragon Ball Super. Not only does he have one of the most iconic arcs in all of anime, but he's also the enemy who always comes back to take revenge on Goku and the Saiyans in general. He always finds a way to return from the world of the dead, and today we're going to go over how many times he's done it. Hello everyone, how are you? When we talk about Dragon Ball villains, it's certain that everyone remembers Frieza, the classic, the most evil, and perhaps the worst enemy Goku has ever had to face. He may not be the strongest one to appear, but he ends up being the worst because of an important detail that up until now has only happened to him. Frieza is always coming back from the world of the dead. It's never easy to kill him, and even when they do, he finds a way to return to bring more chaos, more destruction, and of course that unmistakable laugh that everyone loves. Frieza first appeared, as you probably remember, shortly after the Saiyan saga, when Vegeta shows up. Basically, he's a space tyrant who calls himself the Emperor of the Universe and wants to gather the Dragon Balls to wish for eternal life. He clashes with Vegeta over the Dragon Balls, and there's this whole issue with the Saiyans, since in the past, he basically forced them to work for him. And when there was a rebellion, he simply destroyed planet Vegeta, killing King Vegeta, Bardock and Guine, who are Goku's parents, and practically all of the Saiyan race, with a few exceptions of course. After a long battle on planet Namek, where he also wanted to use its Dragon Balls, Frieza's arc ends with an epic showdown between him and Goku. Not only is Frieza forced to use his third form, which at the time was his final one, but Goku also achieves the Super Saiyan level for the first time. Frieza ends up having his body cut in half by an attack he himself launched at Goku, and he also blows up the entire planet Namek in the process, dying as a result. But anyone who thought this would be the end of Frieza was very wrong. Future Trunks. It turns out that even with Namek's explosion, Frieza wasn't exactly killed. In fact, some parts of his body were left drifting in space while he was still alive. And luckily for him, his father, King Cold, sent soldiers to retrieve him. Frieza was so feared that the general belief was that a simple planetary explosion couldn't have killed the great Frieza. And they were right. What remained of Frieza's body was taken to King Cold's ship, and there he went through a reconstruction process, even receiving some cybernetic mechanical parts, something very much in the style of Cyberpunk 2077. This version of Frieza is also known as Mecha Frieza, and as soon as he fully recovers, now even stronger than before, the first thing he does is gather an army and head to Earth. After all, he wants revenge on Goku, but it isn't exactly this Saiyan that he runs into upon arriving there. When he gets to Earth, Frieza sends his army to kill everyone. He wants to wipe out the entire planet in retaliation for what happened to him on Namek. But someone shows up to take care of the entire army, and even face Frieza directly. After a while, we find out that the young man with a sword is none other than Future Trunks, who had come back to the past to warn everyone about the threat of the androids and Cell. But before that, he needed to deal with Frieza. And this is when one of the most famous scenes in Dragon Ball Z takes place. Future Trunks slices Frieza in half with his sword and even chops him into smaller pieces, literally turning Frieza into minced meat. King Cold is also killed by him fairly easily, and at least up to that point, Frieza's story had ended. It was over. He was dead. Resurrection. Throughout the rest of Dragon Ball Z, Frieza makes a few quick appearances from Hell, along with other villains. In the Majin Buu saga, he shows up there cheering for Kid Buu in the final fight against Goku, and is pretty disappointed when Goku strikes Kid Buu with the Spirit Bomb, finishing him off once and for all. But we would still have much more Frieza ahead, since Sorbet and Tagoma, two of his former soldiers, managed to resurrect Frieza with the Dragon Balls. The problem is that Frieza comes back in pieces, since he had been sliced up by Future Trunks. It takes some time to fix this, with Frieza inside a recovery chamber and reverting to his first form, which we hadn't seen in a long time. After recovering, he trains for another 4 months to become even more powerful than he was before. And guess what? He goes to Earth to take revenge on Goku and Vegeta, of course. But the problem here is that Goku and Vegeta aren't on Earth. They're training with Beerus and Whis, and Gohan ends up having to face Frieza. Basically, Frieza wreaks massive havoc, even killing Piccolo, until finally the Saiyans arrive back on Earth and fight him. During this battle, Frieza reveals his most powerful form so far, the so-called Golden Frieza. And this form is so strong that even his own army ends up dying during this transformation process. This fight ends surprisingly with Frieza destroying Earth and killing everyone. But Whis manages to rewind time, giving Goku the chance to strike and kill Frieza once again before the planet explodes. The funniest thing about this death of Frieza is that he ends up in hell, trapped in a kind of cocoon, forced to watch and listen to little angels singing as if he were in heaven. That's because Frieza is so evil that hell for him is actually being in heaven. Crazy, right? Tournament of Power. But this wouldn't be the last time we'd see the Emperor of the Universe, the Great Frieza. In the Tournament of Power arc, while Goku is forming the team that will represent Universe 7 in the tournament, Majin Buu ends up falling asleep and needs to be replaced. Goku has the crazy idea of calling on Frieza, which everyone thinks is absurd, but he still goes to hell. He asks permission from all the divine beings who manage life and death there, and manages to bring Frieza back from the dead for the tournament, but only for 24 hours. There's a little fight between the two, of course, and during the tournament Frieza even teams up with Frost, a being of the same race as him but from another universe. He ends up betraying Frost, since he was promised that if Universe 7 won the tournament, he would be revived. In the end, bringing Frieza to the tournament turned out to be a great move, since he was decisive at the end, having to fight alongside Goku against Jiren. In fact, he is the one responsible for coming up with the plan that knocked Jiren out of the arena, along with Goku and himself, leaving Android 17 as the winner of the Tournament of Power. And as promised, Whis revived Frieza, who returned to being the Emperor of the Universe, regaining control of his army. After that, we would still see Frieza causing more trouble in Dragon Ball Super. Broly, since he brought Broly and Paragus to Earth. Well, in the middle of all this, he gets an epic beating from Broly and almost dies again. But Earth was also almost destroyed in the mess. It wasn't easy at all. The story of Dragon Ball Super continues in the manga, where we now see Granola, the last survivor of a race exterminated by Frieza and the Saiyans, seeking revenge against all of them. It's quite likely that Frieza will be very important in this story as well, but we don't know if he will die or be revived again. Of course, but I wouldn't doubt it. But now tell me, do you really think Frieza is the greatest villain in Dragon Ball? I do. Leave your opinion in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, if you liked remembering these Frieza comebacks, also leave a like to show your support. Take the chance to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell and stay tuned to everything happening here on the channel. Thanks.